after the fundraising event was over, we did get a large donation from someone who couldn't attend the event. And so I think we ended up raising about $24,000.
Where do you see yourselves in 5 years?
I think we'd like to do a little traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious if she gave her approval for him to post this. Aging is a natural process, and we all experience it differently as part of life. I prefer seeing mothers and women embracing their natural aging process rather than resorting to cosmetic procedures like Botox, fillers, and filters. Our daughters deserve a world where we don't criticize this. While I'm not particularly fond of this couple either way, the criticism seems harsh. Is this how we, as women, bring each other down? Calling names like Muppet Face, criticizing premature aging due to motherhood, comparing to characters from TV shows. When a woman is pregnant, she's nourishing 2 lives, and whether one considers them lives or not is another discussion. Besides this, she's also raising 3 young children who likely demand her attention constantly. On top of that, she's managing a move and home renovations while simultaneously trying to launch multiple companies. Whether you agree with her ventures or not is a separate matter to discuss, but the hurtful comments being made are surprising. Remember, one day you or someone you care about might face similar scrutiny. Let's refrain from hurling insults at someone simply for sharing a candid, natural photo on a busy day spent caring for their family without makeup and hair done. What's the point of all these insults? I'm new here, only been on this page for 3 months. Perhaps someone can explain to me why there's such a need to harbor such intense hatred towards someone we don't even know, to the extent of insulting every picture they post. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Red Bee. It's me, ELENA here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, so let's dive into today's video. Additionally, the contrast in how Tori and Zach communicate with and talk about Jackson compared to Leela has been a recurring topic of discussion on this subreddit lately, and it was highlighted again in the season finale. During a scene where they were picking blackberries, Leela expressed her desire for more berries in her bowl. Tori responded with something like, "You have to pick them yourself, you ding-dong." Later on, Jackson made a remark along the lines of Tori Roloff, "I'll just replace you," which seemed unusual for a 6-year-old to say to their mother. Tori's reaction was simply, "Oh Jackson, you're so funny." Now, I don't believe Tori intended any harm by calling Leela a ding-dong. It was likely meant as a lighthearted joke, which is fine occasionally. However, the pattern we see on the show is that Leela is often referred to in less flattering terms: clumsy, whiny, challenging, high maintenance, and yes, ding-dong. In contrast, Jackson is often portrayed as flawless, incapable of wrongdoing. While there's nothing wrong with praising Jackson, it's essential to extend the same level of appreciation to all your children. Many of us have noticed this discrepancy in how they interact with and talk about their children, and it's something worth addressing. If you look back at the early seasons, you'll notice a similar dynamic with Zach growing up. Matt clearly favored Jeremy as the golden child. Jeremy was the farmer, always involved in projects, brainstorming with Matt, essentially his right-hand man. Meanwhile, Zach was often described by Matt as too shy, introverted, not big enough to help. Essentially, he was urged to be more like Jeremy. It's like history repeating itself. Leela seems to be bearing the brunt of their frustrations in life. She's already going to face challenges, and it would be beneficial if they showed her more understanding and grace. Moreover, it's unclear where Zach picked up his parenting skills, given that his own parents didn't seem to instill much structure or discipline. It's somewhat off-putting how he portrays himself as the epitome of fatherhood for performing basic tasks. So I thought I'd share my perspective. At home, I have a child similar to Jackson and one akin to Leela. My firstborn is easygoing, confident, and social, much like Jackson, while my second child, like Leela, is the complete opposite. For the first couple of years, it was perplexing. How could one child be so easy while the other seemed entirely different? Yet the truth is, we did nothing differently. Early on, I made a decision never to discuss how challenging or different she is around her or my other child. I never want her to internalize those words. I even ensure that grandparents avoid discussing it within earshot of the kids. I've learned her triggers and what strategies work best for her, despite her not being on the spectrum. I can actually relate to Zach and Tori on many things, and I enjoy their podcast. However, there are aspects I strongly disagree with. For example, they expressed displeasure with how one episode portrayed Jackson crying briefly at a restaurant when he was a baby, making it seem like he cried the entire time. They disliked the inaccurate portrayal of their children. They also mentioned being concerned about meltdowns being filmed for the show, fearing it would be exploited for drama. I completely understand that sentiment. I'd want to protect my child's vulnerability from being showcased for entertainment. What I find troubling are their remarks about Lila, like when they labeled her as clumsy after she tripped and fell while wearing rain boots that restrict movement, particularly challenging for a child with different legs. Instead of dismissing it with laughter, they should have provided more suitable footwear. If I were Layla and grew up seeing these shows, I wouldn't be pleased. There are numerous instances where they seem to brush off her feelings or emotions. I'm not sure, I just feel like I would approach things differently, as I do with my own version of Leela at home. However, I can understand some of the challenges they may be facing. I just believe that when a child is consistently labeled as difficult or different from their siblings, it can potentially become a self-fulfilling prophecy, which can be harmful as they grow up. Moreover, it seems apparent to me why Zach and Tori treat Leela differently than Jackson. Tori's comments toward her own daughter are concerning, though not entirely surprising given their upbringing in a conservative Christian environment, where women are scrutinized and men are often held blameless. Women's behavior and appearance are scrutinized in ways that men's are not. Boys are often praised, while girls are criticized. Mothers sometimes vie with their daughters for male attention and approval. They are undoubtedly influenced by their parents, politics, and religious beliefs. While it's still possible to be excellent parents with this background, it requires questioning and reflecting on one's own culture and upbringing. Zach and Tori don't strike me as individuals who delve into parenting literature, seek out research, challenge their beliefs, or break from their cultural norms. They need to parent the child they have, not the child they wish for. Their dismissive responses to Leela's tantrums suggest that her emotional needs are neither being met nor respected, and these responses also deprive her of opportunities to learn emotional regulation, resilience, and confidence. It's ironic because Zach himself filled a similar role to Leela among his siblings, physically awkward, speech difficulties, less outgoing, and moodier. Yet he was handled delicately by Matt and Amy. Sometimes, the child who resembles you the most can be the hardest one to accept. Regarding Tori, I think she lacks sensitivity herself, and as she carries most of the mental load, she may be surprised and frustrated by the additional parenting demands Leela requires at this stage. It's not an excuse, but it seems to be a contributing factor. It's positive that they're removing the kids from TV. On the other hand, I've often felt that people here were overly critical of how Zach and Tori talked to and about Leela. To me, it seemed more like frustrated parents using humor to cope with a child they perceive as high maintenance, particularly in comparison to Jackson. As a parent myself, watching the episodes, I empathized. I could see that Leela presents challenges. She appears stubborn and has a low tolerance for discomfort or frustration, often resorting to loud screams or tantrums when unhappy. Moreover, her language development lagging behind has made communication difficult for the past 3 years, especially compared to how quickly Jackson learned to speak. I can understand why this has been a struggle for Zach and Tori. However, the season finale changed my perspective. Tori's eye-rolling at Leela, calling her a ding-dong, and expressing exasperation with "why is it always Leela" were concerning. These actions can have lasting effects, particularly for a child who already stands out physically from her peers. It almost seems like Zach, being a little person himself, understands the challenges of growing up in a body that's different, and he and Tori have made extra efforts to boost Jackson's confidence. However, because Leela is a girl and requires more attention than Zach and Tori deem acceptable, she seems to have been somewhat neglected. Amy has shared on the show her own experiences of enduring horrific bullying as a young girl and woman. "If I knew my daughter might face similar treatment, I wouldn't be calling her names or mocking her reactions to the world. However, I had a front row ticket to that." Caryn's remark really lays bare the fact that she was involved in an affair. She seems far too at ease with the uncomfortable truth, almost as if it's part of her strategy to portray her and Matt as laid back rather than acknowledging their past mistakes. What's your take on these comments? Do they strike you as pointed, or is there another angle to consider? Well, she almost makes it sound like they were destined to be together, as if they finally found each other after all this time. But it's hard to overlook the fact that it all began as an affair. That's the root cause of all the family issues, not just the farm. Both she and Matt made comments during that group conversation at the end of the episode that made my husband and me exchange a look like, "Are they really going there?" They seem too comfortable, as if they're trying to downplay the seriousness of their past actions. Moreover, regarding the twins, I'm not sure if this has been discussed before, as I'm new here, but does anyone else sense there was a significant fallout between the brothers and their wives that contributed to the family's strained dynamic? While the issue of the farm not being sold to Zach certainly caused tension, I feel like there might be more to it than that. Many seem quick to blame Tori, but I'm not convinced she's the root cause. On another note, I don't necessarily think there was a major fallout. My suspicion is that Jeremy might have felt hurt when Matt not only refused to sell him the farm, but also began publicly portraying Zach as the favored son, a role that had traditionally been Jeremy's. Honestly, I believe it could be as simple as the twins growing up and growing apart. Jeremy might appreciate the freedom of not always having to include Zach in every aspect of his life, as he likely experienced growing up. Conversely, Zach might relish having the chance to establish his own identity apart from Jeremy's shadow. Furthermore, I think their lives diverged further after having kids. Parenthood changes people and their perspectives, leading to differing beliefs and priorities. Some might opt for conventional treatments like antibiotics, while others might prefer alternative remedies like dandelion tea with essential oils, each believing in the effectiveness of their chosen approach. On the other hand, in Season 5, Matt decides to undertake a major remodel of half the house, ultimately transforming the farmhouse into the beautiful space we see in later seasons. However, tensions begin to mount between Matt and Amy as the remodel progresses. With everyone confined to the living room during construction, the situation becomes particularly challenging for their family of 6. Finally, Matt confronts Amy about the clutter and excess belongings scattered throughout the house, urging her to clean up and declutter rather than focusing solely on the remodel's inconveniences. It's a point of contention, but Amy ultimately acknowledges the need to take action. While she couldn't argue back much, it seems she recognized the validity of Matt's perspective and committed to getting things in order. However, as the last episode unfolded, I initially thought it was just another regular installment until they aired clips of the farm's iconic spots. Then, the montage and Amy and Matt bidding farewell. While it wasn't a terrible ending, I believe they could have delved deeper into reflecting on what the show meant to them. I wonder if, by the time they filmed the confessionals, they knew for sure it was the end, or if there was still uncertainty. I had hoped to see the entire family gather on the farm for one last time, but I understand why that might not be feasible. The scenes showcasing different aspects of the farm and the gates closing at the end left me feeling melancholic. If indeed this is the conclusion, it's been an eventful 25 seasons, and I'm grateful to each member of the Roloff family for sharing their lives with us for so long. I wish them all the best. On a different note, the tone felt quite somber. Amy's insistence that they'd always be family seemed a bit forced, especially considering Matt's decisions. When a narcissistic parent manipulates their children, this kind of outcome is unfortunately common. It's powerful to see Zach and Tori moving on and prioritizing their own lives. I hope they can find the peace they deserve, away from the negativity surrounding Matt and his fiancée. Zach and Tori didn't engage in the same kind of behavior, and I admire their restraint. It's crucial that the kids break the cycle of narcissistic abuse in their own families. The show serves as a valuable learning tool for those facing similar manipulative situations. From the beginning of the cheating scandal to the bullying and lies, and now Matt's decision to hold onto the entire property and build an oversized home for himself and his partner, it's all rather disheartening. You truly reap what you sow. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.